So we're going to do some rapid fire questions, and I've got a bunch of them here. I'm going to pick on each of you individually, but quick. All right. And I'll go around the room. So the first one is, what's your favorite season? Bri?
Summer.
Fiona?
Spring.
Scott?
Fall.
All right. Beach or mountain? Bri?
Both.
No, you got to pick one.
No, I can't though. I really can't. More mountain in the morning, beach in the afternoon.
Fiona?
Beach all the way.
Scott?
Mountain.
Favorite travel location? Fiona?
I mean, the coolest place I've gone to is Japan, so I'd love to go back.
Bri?
Norway.
Scott?
Coastal Maine.
My family's all from Maine, so I get you. Favorite food type? Scott?
Pizza.
Fiona?
I love Korean food.
Bri?
Carbs.
Any carbs?
Just like, yeah, it's a vessel to get me moving.
I get you.
Welcome to the Childfree Wealth Podcast, hosted by Bri and Dr. J, certified financial planner. Here we discuss life and finances as it relates to being child-free. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please consult your advisor before implementing any ideas heard on this podcast. Hey guys, today we are having an episode where we're talking about our team. So often we say, hey, there's a team behind us here at Childfree Wealth. We all work together as a team, but we realize that we never actually talk about who the other people on the team are. So today we're going to have Scott and Fiona join us and go through and just learn more about them and really introduce them to all of you. Jay, are you excited for this? Is that as excited as I am?
It's going to be fun if nothing else. So, I mean, I got a list of questions I don't even know the answers to, so we'll see.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Scott and Fiona. We are going to go ahead and get started, but the first thing that I just want to hear is, how did you guys get to Childfree Wealth? Fiona, I'll go ahead and start with you, and then Scott, you can share your answer after.
Yeah, I came to Childfree Wealth as a career changer. So I left college with a bachelor's in chemistry that I wasn't maybe super passionate about. So I ended up in social work, got my master's in social work and my clinical license, and was working as a therapist for a while. And then decided I sort of wanted to change, was getting more burnt out in that field. And I found financial planning as a fun mix of my love of numbers and math, but also with helping people. And I found Childfree Wealth through Jay's first book, looking at child-free resources myself, and was so excited there was a firm specifically helping this population. And yeah, I love working here.
Awesome. So chemistry to social work and therapy to finance. That is quite the path. But we're glad you ended up here. Scott, how about you?
I've actually been in the business for quite a while. Previous roles that I've had, I've worked with other financial advisors and RIAs over the years, and made the transition into working with clients directly over the past couple years. And what really attracted me, or what brought me to Childfree Wealth, was the whole idea of working with child-free folks, which is really different than the way we work with married couples and or not married couples alone, but married couples with children. There's a lot of different things that we need to focus on as child-free people. And seeing what Dr. J was doing and what you're doing, Bri, with Childfree Wealth, I was very impressed and was very excited to be a part of this team.
Awesome. So definitely been in the industry, kind of seen a lot of it, and now switching over here.
So, Scott, you talked a little about it, but kind of how do you see it as different here versus elsewhere? And kind of really what I'm asking is, like, we're taught certain things as a CFP, and how much of that changes because you're child-free?
I would say probably the biggest difference between this or working with child-free folks as compared to other folks is really the focus of that we put on working on the life side rather than just the finance side. Many times with child-free folks, we have different goals and we have different needs as compared to folks that have children. And that's something that I've seen that's really different in the way we interact with them as financial planners. Oftentimes with people that have children, they're looking to leave leave a legacy to those children and pass that on to them, pass that wealth or those assets on to their children. Whereas with child-free folks, they may not have that same goal. They may want to leave a legacy to charity or possibly to other family members, but their goals are not necessarily the same. So I think really that's the big difference that I've seen when working with child-free folks, is that they have a lot of different needs that aren't necessarily addressed just by the things that we typically focus on when we're working with other clients that have a different family structure.
And that's fair. I think, when we think of legacy, there's a lot of things much more than money that fit in the child-free folks. But Fiona, you're kind of more recent in completing your CFP. What's the biggest thing that was different between like the way you were taught to do things as a CFP versus the way we do it at Childfree Wealth?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think the first sort of obvious piece of my answer is the child-free focus. I think when I was going through the education, I didn't see hardly any mentions of different family structures or folks without kids or soloists, couples. It all felt pretty just traditional of like the nuclear family. And I wasn't really expecting that. So coming here, realizing that we could talk about all different family structures and chosen family and soloists and people without kids was really cool, that we found like unique solutions for that. And I think the other piece is going through the education, studying for the exam. I thought, wow, I'm really not going to use my therapy skills at all. Like I was kind of excited for this, but man, this is really numbers focused. And then I started here and you all were like, no, we talk about the life a lot. Like you need to be asking those questions that you're used to asking. You should be using those skills. And I was so encouraged and pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to just like put all that away in a box and like shove it under the bed. I could still take that approach with clients here. So that was really fun.
Hey, Childfree Wealth listeners, it's Bri. I highly encourage you to schedule a Childfree Wealth checkup. During this time, you're going to get a couple of forms to fill out that include your life and financial plan. We'll review them, and then we're going to have a meeting and go through them with you. We're going to give you some advice and things to work on and talk through things to make your finances simpler so your life can be amazing. You can schedule yours by going to our website, childfreewealth.com, and clicking the Schedule Now button. Fiona and Scott, I want to know, what is your best tip for when to get or change a financial planner?
Yeah, for me, I think two things come to mind. One would be if you're going into any kind of life transition. We have a lot of folks come to us when they're switching careers or jobs or maybe getting married, separating from someone, moving. Anytime stuff in your life is kind of reshuffling, it's a great time to have a second set of eyes on your finances as well, just to see if there's any way to align those two and make that transition more smooth for you. And I think the second time is if you find yourself Googling a lot and sort of reading those articles where they're like, am I behind? I'm like, for 30 years old, this should be your net worth. Or if you find yourself always wondering if you're in the right spot or what advice you should be following, I think that's a good time to pull in a professional who can give you tailored advice to your actual life. Because the amount of times folks have asked me if they're behind and they'll like tell me about some article they've read and we end up completely debunking it. And I'm like, this does not apply to you. You're child free. You have a completely different life. And I think that's really helpful to get a reality check that's custom to you.
By the way, if you end up Googling, you probably need some help, because if you Google financial stuff, you always end up like you're behind. Or if you Google like health stuff, you're dying. Like both of those, just, you need a professional to help you, because that Google could just lead you down the wrong path.
Scott, what about you?
Yeah, I looking at it through the child-free lens, I would say that it's really when an advisor or a planner is focused solely on investments. If you're working with somebody right now that all they're doing when they meet with you is talk about investments or talk about basic things like that, that's a time when you really want to take a look at looking for somebody else that's going to be looking at you from the full lens. A lot of people call themselves financial advisors and planners, but they really are focused on that side of the business. Another area I would say, especially for child-free folks, is if you're meeting with an advisor and they're planning out or they're showing you retirement projections or doing things like that, if they're showing that your retirement balances end up going up and up and up and up and up, and you're spending down what's sort of considered in the industry as sort of a standard of like 4% a year, if they're showing that balance continuing to go up and up and up without you taking out more money to account for those rising balances, that's time I would say, to take a look for somebody else as well, because they may not be focused on doing the same things because of the way they're compensated as to the way we do things here at Childfree Wealth.
That's great. So we're going to do some rapid fire questions, and I've got a bunch of them here. I'm going to pick on each of you individually, but quick. All right. And I'll go around the room. So the first one is, what's your favorite season? Bri?
Summer.
Fiona?
Spring.
Scott?
Fall.
All right. Beach or mountain? Bri?
Both.
No, you got to pick one.
No, I can't though. I really can't. More mountain in the morning, beach in the afternoon.
Fiona?
Beach all the way.
Scott?
Mountain.
Favorite travel location? Fiona?
I mean, the coolest place I've gone to is Japan, so I'd love to go back.
Bri?
Norway.
Scott?
Coastal Maine.
My family's all from Maine, so I get you. Favorite food type? Scott?
Pizza.
Fiona?
I love Korean food.
Bri?
Carbs.
Any carbs?
Just like, yeah, it's a vessel to get me moving.
I get you. What animal best reflects you? Bri?
A lion.
Fiona?
An otter.
Scott?
House cat.
Favorite book, author, movie? You can pick whichever one you want. Bri?
I quote the other guys daily.
Fiona?
I really love the Avett Brothers.
Scott?
I'll go musician as well. Currently St. Vincent, and then my go-tos that I can listen to all the time, sort of that desert island disc type of thing, the Smiths or A Tribe Called Quest.
Okay, so now here's my question. Is it a desert island or deserted island?
I think it could be both. So they call it desert island disc for some reason. So
Right, but they really mean a deserted island. I mean,
they do, yeah.
All right,
You're right.
Never mind. Favorite hobby? Fiona?
Decluttering things.
Scott?
Car stuff.
Bri?
Anything active.
All right. Favorite subject in school? Bri?
History.
Fiona?
Chemistry.
Scott?
History.
All right. And last one is, what was your first job? Bri?
Unpaid pain in the ass farmhand.
Fiona?
I was a camp counselor.
Scott?
Working on a farm.
I was a sandwich artist at Subway back when they had sandwich artists. So
Hey, there you go.
And that's back when they were cutting bread the right way, which everybody knows is in the diagonal, not the cut across sideways.
There you go.
And I think a lot of folks come to us for financial questions, like, hey, by my investments, my Roth conversion or something like that. But they stay because of the stuff we do around life, around feelings, around behaviors, around other things that they didn't know they really needed or wanted. But you're like, you do realize you're doing well. And they're like, I am? And there's that moment you're like, let's talk about that.
Yeah, even the number of clients who just say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean for you to be our marriage therapist." I'm always like, I'm not diagnosing you, not therapizing you. We're just talking through this process. But I can see how clients feel that way because you need to have those conversations and talk through those feelings, see what they are, and really what comes up when you're looking at your money.
Is therapizing a word, or did we make it up? I mean, I kind of like it, but
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
I mean, typically I have a therapist cousin. I'm like, can you therapize me? I just need a few minutes, please. Let's do some therapizing.
So I'll always say that to make progress in finance, you need three people. You need kind of a therapist to look back, a spiritual person to look up, and a coach to look forward. That's not exact. Everybody looks in different directions. But if you love therapy and you hate coaching, you probably need coaching. If you love coaching, you hate therapy, you probably need to go the other way. I mean, you need the balance. And what's interesting is I've had it happen twice this week, actually, where I'll poke at something and I'll be like, hey, I'll make this connection. And they go like, yeah, that was about a year of therapy in about 30 seconds. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, I didn't know that connection was there. That, and you'll see the client like literally stop and go like, huh? And you see the connection in their brain. And I don't know. It's kind of like a false dichotomy of the split between them. And Fiona, I mean, where do you draw the line between therapy, coaching, planning? I mean, what is that balance?
That's a really interesting question. Therapy is treating and diagnosing mental health concerns. And so there's always going to be that clinical component that just is sort of a clear line between it. But I think what transfers over is, to me, like my framework from therapy was acceptance and commitment therapy. It's just one modality. There's a bunch that can be really helpful. But I can pull a lot of pieces from that into other contexts because a big focus of that is just living life in line with your values and that being a main question you ask. So I think if you pull into finance or coaching, you can still be checking in very regularly. Hey, is this in line with your values? And I think it shows how many gray areas there are. Like, for example, if you're looking at a budget with someone, it's not like it's black and white, like the correct budget is this amount. And in fact, your DoorDash needs to be cut down by $100. And that is the one path forward. It's all murky. And I think sometimes people come to us and want to stay more rigid or just get the right or wrong answer. And sometimes there's obvious optimizations, but I think it takes more time and skill to tease apart all the gray area. And I think the way we approach that is through values and what's the life you want to live, and then let's fit in the rest of the pieces. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but that's sort of the direction I take it.
It's directionally. I think the thing that when clients say, hey, this felt like a therapy session, I believe what they're reacting to is what really feels like therapy is kind of the questioning, the listening, the diving in, the kind of shifting the way people think. And they go, oh, that feels kind of therapy-ish. Whatever their perspective is on therapy. I think what they're really saying is it's a big difference from what they're used to. And Scott, you've had experience at a whole bunch of different firms. I have a feeling this discussion is not one you regularly see at other firms.
Definitely not. So it's definitely not as focused on that life planning side or therapy type of side. It's definitely something I don't see in most firms that are out there.
How are you adjusting to that? Like, let's be real. It is a change for you.
Yeah, it is. But it's part of what I always tried to do, whether it was with Childfree Wealth or with somebody else or another firm. I've always tried to include some of that. I didn't realize it was as focused as what Free Wealth is doing. And I see that as a big benefit because, again, it helps to dive deeper into what their motivations are and why they're doing what they're doing, and being able to help tease that out and find what makes them tick beyond just the financial side, I think is really important. And that's something that, as I continue to watch you and Bri and Fiona, I am really blown away by the amount of information that you're able to glean from working with these clients and really helping them move forward.
And I actually just wrote a LinkedIn post on this, and my answer to planners was just ask more questions. Ultimately, you want the client doing at least half the talking, if not more. But that's not what we're used to. In financial planning, it's like, hey, as a CFP, you're taught hundreds of things or thousands of things. And like, I got to get to all of them tomorrow. And I think everybody in this group, when they started, went to like a checklist of like, I must get all of these things done or else I'm bad. We have to get to everything immediately. We have to actually make long lasting changes, which really means tackling like one or two things at a time. And I'm going to open up to the group, like, because you've all been on the other side of this. We actually debrief all our sessions and kind of what works, what doesn't. I give all the planners feedback. What's that shift from like, hey, I've got the CFP checklist, I have to get everything done, to let's dive deeper, been like?
I'd say it's been a challenge for me. I mean, it's shifting my mindset or how I think about things from the financial planning perspective. But I see the value in it. I mean, because it is important to really dig into those things because it's asking those questions and taking the time to listen and really find out what they're thinking is huge.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, checklists feel comfortable and, a little bit sometimes easier to just focus on. And, people aren't robots. And you'd be surprised how often you start with the checklist and then the client's like, so I didn't tell you this, and they just drop you this tiny breadcrumb of something about their life or, something where they seem upset about something or stressed. And I think it's just taking the moment to be like, hey, is there anything else more you want to share? Like, what is this little breadcrumb you just dropped? But sometimes if you just ask an open-ended question, I end up hearing this whole saga about a family thing that's been going on that actually is affecting them, and it's related to their financial plan, and we need to take that into account. And I don't know, I think it's nice that we all focus on not just bulldozing through to the sort of simple answers or the right answers or the checklist, because people aren't robots and there's always other stuff going on that you can pick up on.
And Bri, I know you and I even had that discussion about the checklist. I mean, what do you think?
That's something I've had to work to let go. And transparently, I have a ton of questions for people when we're going into checkup calls or ongoing planning calls, anything like that. And I've had to learn to let it go. And now there's a point, I'm just thinking about a checkup I did this week where there were a couple questions afterwards. It's like, oh man, I really wish I would have asked that. But you know what? I didn't have time for it in the meeting. We were talking about other things. That's okay. I just made a note on their checkup that says, hey, I'm seeing some conflicting information here. Not really sure what that looks like. But if this is the answer, this is what you should do. If this is the answer, this is what you should do for it. Because some of it can be black and white for answers. Some of it's more of a, hey, I'm seeing conflicting information. I'd want to further discuss this because we just didn't get through that conversation. We didn't have time for that. And learning to let go of the checklist and say, it's fine if we don't get through everything.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why I push people to get away from the checklist is clients come to us and they want like a scorecard. Am I doing the right things? Am I doing good? I'm like, are you happy with your money? Are you happy with your life? Yes, then you're doing the right thing. And they're like, that's not what I mean. I'm like, well, we could give you a number, and we do because we're financial folks. But I think there's this natural thing that if I have a checklist, if I check it all off, I get the gold star. And I'm like, yeah, but you could actually check it all off and miss your life on the way by. And that's really hard, both as a planner and as a client.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You can totally miss your life on the way by and the things that you enjoy. So many of us can get a life where it's centered around work and forget about the things that we like to do. And on that note, actually, Scott and Fiona, what are some things that you guys like doing in your life and helps really bring you joy in your life outside of work? Nothing. We got nothing that brings joy. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know. That sends to one of us first.
Yeah. On my side, I mean, the things my wife and I end up doing, she sort of got sucked into this world, but I'm a sort of a car geek. So I have some older cars, and we get together a lot of times with folks that are like-minded that oddly enough, or not, maybe not oddly enough, are also, a lot of them are child-free as well. It's sort of a community that we've sort of connected with through cars, which I really enjoy. She really enjoys. Again, for us, it's not necessarily about the cars. It's about the people that we've met. We just love getting together with them, and we just have a good time, whether it's going up into the mountains to drive or just getting together on a weekend at like a brew pub or something like that. I mean, it's one of those things we just all love getting together and talking about our cars and having fun. I'm also a failed musician. I end up, at one point in my life, I was a music major and decided that I would never make a living doing that. I know Dr. J would probably slap me for that and say, hey, you should reconsider that if that was a passion. It's something I still enjoy a great deal and still take satisfaction in. So it's something I also do as well. So
it can be your encore career. Like
there you go.
Well,
true.
I want to call out another thing though. Is it really failed though? If you still do it, you're a musician, whether or not you get paid.
Yes. That is true. Yes, it is. That is a true fact that you are still a musician, even if you don't get paid. But As far as a career was concerned, it was not in my cards at the time. I did make some money doing it, but not nearly enough to make a living.
Well, if you ever want to move here to Nashville, like everybody that works at the restaurant is a musician in somewhere.
Yes, that is true. Yes.
It's just kind of the nature of the beast here. I mean, it's the only airport where you go through and there's like 6 live musicians in the airport, all busking for money. Like,
and they're all really good.
They actually are. Like, that's actually the issue.
Yeah,
it's like they're amazing, and you're like, and your order's ready. You know, like I'm like, I was like, how are you not like on on some big show or whatever now?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of exceptional musicians in Nashville. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think if you're not watching this as well, Scott has 1, 2, 3 pictures of cars behind him. And is that like 5 or 6 model cars as well?
Oh no, there's probably about 20 over there, sort of up on the corner.
Yep.
So,
and then some music stuff in the background too.
Yep.
So
guitars and
yes, he is into it and into both cars and music there. So that's just so fun. Fiona, what about you? How do you enjoy life outside of work?
Yes, I'm a bit of a homebody, so you won't really catch me doing anything too wild, but I do really love weightlifting. That's sort of a main hobby of mine. I love the sort of challenge of it, and it's great for me mental health wise and physical health wise. It's sort of just a fun sport. And really, though, what you'll see me doing is organizing. I will pull apart my pantry and put it all back, like color coded, or I'll redo how my drawer is laid out. I find cleaning and organizing very soothing. And I've also been recruited many times to help folks clean out their basement or like clean out this closet they won't open. And we pull everything out and it feels overwhelming. And to me, I'm like, this is so fun. We're going to make this look so pretty. Yeah, those are some interests. And I also just like being outside, reading, spending time with family. But I feel like those answers are more boring. You can picture me instead pulling apart drawers.
So the next time we do like a team retreat in Nashville, I should invite you over to my garage and see how you can make something out of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And people always taunt me with that. It's like a joke. And I'm like, no, I'm completely serious. I will. That will bring me joy. So
I also have some things that I could hire you for to come take care of here.
love to.
Are you the type of organizer where you come in with a trash bag and you're like, this is gone? Or are you more methodical? Because if I'm cleaning, there's a trash bag coming out and it's gone. But I know that's probably not the way.
I think I used to be a bit more unhinged with it, because I also sort of practice minimalism, so I don't personally like having a ton of stuff. And so sometimes I project that on people and I'm like, what is this t-shirt? If you didn't wear this the last 6 months, it's gone. And I feel like I tone that down a little bit with friends and family, where it's like, what do you want? What brings you joy? And we'll try to sort it out. But there's usually trash. You just have to accept that some things go to the landfill, some things get donated, and oh well.
Can I just be vulnerable for a second? When you were talking about your move and the size pod you got, I looked at myself and I went, man, I have a lot of shit. Like,
It's fair. We all accumulate stuff. Don't judge yourself.
well, yeah, I took like a couple weeks and went through all my stuff. And then I went, but I have so many hobbies that are just, you need different things for. And even swimming, I joined a swim team and now they're like, by the way, we don't have fins, but everybody has to use fins on the kick set, so buy your own. I'm like, that's just another thing that I have to have in my house. I did spend a lot of time thinking about my stuff after your move and then hearing about your pod size.
I'm so glad that inspired you. I think I might have sent you a picture even of my tiny pod like perched on the truck. And I was like, this is my life. It's been packed up here. Somehow my couch fit. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
One last kind of question. I think the reality check, if anyone's listening to this, I don't think you can understand just how much our clients impact us. And that's really what they impact us personally. Like, we do take this personally. And various members of the team who I shall leave nameless often give me a hard time because I go too far to help the clients because like you get sucked in. So I want to go around the room and ask, like, has there been a client that's really touched you, or a story, or something you've gotten like just personally attached to? And what was that like? So Bri, you want to start?
Anytime it's working with planning for parents, that is something that I love doing and can be super helpful. There have been a number of cases in which we do it. I sometimes like work with the parent and the child, and I'll sometimes meet with them like together or separately, and then kind of just work through like getting some of the action things done. I'm very much the, okay, we've got this on the list, let's get it done sort of person. And it'll make things easier when that parent eventually passes to kind of clean some things up now. And also just makes it easier to spend those last few years with them and really care for them and be with them. So anytime we have that situation, we've had it a few times, those are the ones that tend to get me the most.
I would say that it'd be more general themes for me rather than any specific example. One of the things that unfortunately I've had to deal with throughout my career is people that have had a loss in their family, whether that be a partner or a parent or something else. And that's really had an impact on me. I mean, I lost my mother at an early age, and it's something that resonates with me, and I've spent a lot of time dealing with from my own personal perspective and around other family and different things like that. Being in those situations and dealing with clients when they're in that situation is something that I really like to help them through that process and help them deal with that and the ramifications of that, of what it has on their life, not just from the financial focus, but also for their personal lives. And that's something that I've seen, again, unfortunately, many times, but it is something that I take great pleasure in as far as being able to help them and help guide them through that particular situation.
I think for me, people really do open up as we work with them and we hear unique experiences they've had and we hear about their life. And I've heard a number of stories at this point when folks have felt like genuinely marginalized by their identity as a child-free person, or maybe they're childless. And I think it's just a reminder of why we're doing this. Like, this is a unique population that is often underserved. And one story that comes to mind was someone who was affected by a natural disaster, and the power was out. It was a crazy situation. And they realized that their neighbors had sort of banded together in clumps of all the people with kids had gotten together and turned on a generator somewhere. This person was a soloist. And so there were also some couples that had tried to coordinate getting help. And they realized they felt just in the middle, completely left out. And that turned into a conversation about needing to make a system for them of professional help and making a safety plan for if this happens again. But it's just a stark reminder that, like, Dr. J started this firm for a reason, because like people do experience feeling left out or marginalized by their identity. It could be any different parts of their identity, but specifically if you identify with terms like child-free or childless, you might have experienced that in your life where you feel left out or the odd one out. And it just sticks with you that we want to create a safe space for those folks to get help that's specifically for them.
And I appreciate that. I think for me, I'm often interested in the clients that achieve something they didn't think was possible, which is actually relatively common with the people we serve. And since we recorded the podcast, I can give you an example. So if you go and watch Annie and Libby's series, you'll see they start with like, I got to hit my fire number. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I'm like, nah, within 6 months or so, you could actually like go move and enjoy your life. They never believed me. And now they're living in France and living their best life. And you can see it. And like, I could actually do that. And it's really interesting to watch clients have that moment where they're like, oh, I can actually follow my dreams and do what I want. And their brain just explodes. They're like, I thought I was going to have to wait forever, or that was never going to happen. So I think it is interesting to see that and see that reaction. Everybody here is talking about different versions of that. whether it's supporting their family or, going through tough times, and can I make it through it? And do I have the support? But that is nice to see. I know you love serving everybody. Who are the people that you truly enjoy serving and give a lot of value to that should be like, Fiona, I should reach out to you?
That's a good question. I think if there's elements of your plan that feel sort of uncertain or kind of maybe anxiety producing, and you want some space to talk through that, I don't call this to people, but in my head, I call it my round of applause time where we take a minute to celebrate how far someone's come. And even though people tell me all the time, I feel behind. Are you sure? I'm not totally sure about what I'm doing. I feel people are so self-deprecating sometimes about their financial plan. And so that's why I always make us do a round of applause and I clap on screen. Sometimes people join me, sometimes they just don't. But I think it's nice to have a moment of validation and some space to talk about how you're feeling about your plan and not just run through my advice, which I'll also share. But yeah, I think if something's feeling kind of vulnerable or if you have that stuff that you're sort of scared to ask, that's kind of a sign that you should ask it. And we're here, all of us are here to run through it with people, zero judgment. You're not behind. We will figure out a plan that works for you.
And Scott, how about you? Who are the people that should absolutely reach out to you? Because what I just heard is Fiona wants the people that need a hug and want validation, which is awesome. That is a huge skill. How about you, Scott? Who are the people you best serve?
I would say the people that I best serve. Honestly, it does come down to being able to relate to people a certain way. So solidly Gen X. I love working with other Gen X folks because we have a lot in common, and millennials as well. Love working with those types of folks. And what I like about working with them is getting them to that point where they can feel comfortable with their finances, where they can feel that they're getting the service they want. Because a lot of times, at least from my experience, when people are reaching out to us or to anybody for help on their finances, it's probably the first time they're doing so. A lot of them have not worked with somebody before, and there's a lot of hesitation there and a lot of consternation about, am I doing the right thing? Am I thinking about this the right way? I feel like I'm going to be judged, and this is a judgment-free zone. We want them to be comfortable with what they're doing, provide feedback to them as far as, hey, these are things you could do to help maybe improve what you're doing. But what you've done a lot of times is really good because, again, if they've gotten to that point where they're reaching out to us, I love working with those folks because they're ready. They're ready to start. They might not be fully ready to really, move 100% forward with everything, but they're getting comfortable. And that's what we're here to do, is try to give them that space to feel comfortable, to move forward, and to have a lot more conversations around what part of their life are they looking to improve. And that can be from a finance perspective. It can be from the life side as well. So,
yeah. And let's be transparent. Scott and I are the older crowd in this. We're the older generation. Let's call that out. And there actually is something to, you can kind of serve one generation either side of you. If you can serve a little bit older, a little bit younger, that kind of tends to be a good fit, but it also depends on personality. And Bri, I don't know if I ever asked you the question. So who are the people you work best with and should reach out to you?
I love working with people who are ready for retirement, whether that be typical retirement age or maybe they're retiring early and they just are ready to make that next step in their life and working more on deaccumulation. That's what brings me a lot of joy, and estate planning, which everybody listener knows at this point that I love estate planning. Hey listeners, like what you're hearing? Don't miss a thing. Sign up for the Childfree Wealth newsletter for weekly tips, tools, and podcast updates. Head to childfreewealth.com/newsletter to get on the list.
Yeah, way too much. Okay, it's a little weird, but that's okay.
It's
by the way,
so healing to me, though. I've had this realization recently of it is so healing to me to help guide people through the next phase of their life, and especially towards the later years, because transparently, because of some of the stuff I've seen in my life and just recognizing mortality, but also it's beautiful because you get to hear so much about how somebody's lived their life and also learn if those were the things they really wanted to do, or if there's things they want to do now and pursue that they have been too nervous to try. I love having conversations with people who just have so many wise years and are looking to now live life in a different way and kind of bring it all home in a sense, I guess.
And, I'm just joking with Bri because I can. Like,
yeah,
you do definitely have a passion for it. And I bring this up because, in full transparency, I'm not taking on clients, so my team is. And everyone here has a specialty and is just awesome at different things. And what is nice is we are a team. So we can always bring in each other and be like, hey, I got this estate question. Let's go ask Bri, or let's dive in, to the emotional side with Fiona, or, hey, here's how we're working through the different age groups. Like, there's a different thing. And, Scott didn't mention, he's got a lot of work on long-term care, and long-term care insurance and other things. Like, there's different expertise we have with the team. The bonus there is when you go to sign up for a checkup, so that's our kind of initial get to know you, get to know what's going on, give you kind of an idea of how your finances look through a child-free lens, you've got a choice. We've actually updated our website so you can pick and say, hey, I would love to work with Scott, Bri, Fiona, whoever it is, or I just want to meet with the first planner because you're all awesome, and like whoever's got the schedule that works. Which, by the way, both of those are valid. Like, even when I'm looking at doctors, like sometimes the answer is I want a specialist, and sometimes like, who can meet with me in an hour? Like, so you can find that and find the people that fit you, because what we're always trying to do is find the perfect fit between a planner and the client. It's not just like, hey, everybody here's a CFP. I mean, that's a given. And everybody here's a Childfree Wealth Specialist. That's our specific program. But it's also like, what's the right fit? Who's the person you're willing to let kind of help you through this and dive in? And now you've hopefully gotten to meet everybody a little bit and say, all right, here's who I would like to work with, and take a shot and see how it goes.
Yeah. If you're wanting to book that checkup, you can go, as Dr. J said, go to our website. It's childfreewealth.com, and then click on the Schedule Now button. That page is where you can select if you want to meet with one of us in particular, or if you just want to meet with the first available. But thank you so much, Scott and Fiona, for joining us today. This has been really fun to do a team podcast, and I hope you guys will agree to join us for more in the future.
We look forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, super fun.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a rating or review. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Please let us know your thoughts wherever comments are available, or email us at media@childfreewealth.com. To stay up to date, find and follow Childfree Wealth on social media. If you're interested in working with us, learn more by visiting our website, childfreewealth.com. We'll see you next time.